We truly have not had this much attention given to characters in Spider-Man books for such a long time, and Ultimate Spider-Man continues to impress because it continues to do just that. Every single issue that comes out seems to build more and more on the last, placing bits of a very large puzzle together. The more we learn, the more things look interesting, and in this issue, we learned a lot about Harry Osborn and what led up to him becoming the Green Goblin. So I'm going to review issue 5 and tell you why this might be the best issue yet. But before we do get into that, I want to urge you guys to subscribe to the channel, join the best Spider-Man community in the entire world, and join me on my mission to try and break through to Marvel editorial that this is the Spider-Man comic that we want, and we love Ultimate Spider-Man. With that said, let's get straight into the video. So like I mentioned, this is an issue that specifically targets Harry Osborn as the character that we follow. And just like issue 4, this issue specifically has no Spider-Man in it, which I think is a testament to how good the character writing is. Every single character in this issue has purpose, but they're also interesting, have their own quirks, have their own agendas. And given how interesting these characters are, it makes sense why Spider-Man doesn't show up, because Jonathan Hickman doesn't need Spider-Man to show up to sell this book to readers. So we open up this issue with a flashback to Norman Osborn grilling Harry over the phone about being late to a social event. This scene not only gives us our first look at Norman and Harry's relationship and what it was like, we also get a sense this is where Harry gets his ruthless nature from. This scene helps us understand how Harry's demeanor can sometimes come off as stern and confronting, like it has in the last few issues. Norman essentially calls Harry out for not being a man and not taking his last name seriously. And this flashback ends with the death of Norman and Emily Osborn. We then cut to after Norman's death, and Harry is thrown into the deep end. He inherits Oscorp and everything his dad owned, and now everything Norman said to Harry about him stepping up and becoming a man starts to become true. However, as we follow Harry throughout this issue and him stepping up into his father's position, Harry starts to realize how corrupt this world that he's stepping into actually is, and how everyone surrounding his father's business and the way of his father's life is kind of evil. He starts to see how corrupt and power-hungry people are, especially Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, who after the death of Norman and Tony Stark has inherited more influence over New York than ever. During a scene with Peter about halfway through the book, which takes place roughly a month before the previous issue, Harry talks about how the death of his parents could be linked to these higher-ups and dedicates a part of his life to becoming the Green Goblin. But what's interesting is that we learn more about Harry's psyche. Even though he's acting as a superhero, we get the sense that he isn't working to make the world a better place, but rather for his own agenda. At first, it seems like he is working as a superhero, just like Spider-Man. Even in the last issue, he gives Peter the great responsibility speech, but it turns out there was more than meets the eye. And I think this definitely will eventually be the difference between Harry and Peter in the next couple of issues. Peter is going to act out of responsibility, but when things get tough and something is opposed to Harry's agenda, that's when Harry and Peter are going to end up fighting, and I really like that. These two characters are walking a very fine line, and there is not a simple ideology that separates them, which is going to make their eventual turn on each other very interesting. And just to expand on this point for a second, for example, the difference could be Harry picking and choosing which crimes he decides to stop because it doesn't fit with his agenda, and this in contrast with Peter's beliefs that you should step in and help no matter what. And I reckon it's going to be something like this that ends up being the boiling point between these two characters. But as I mentioned, their ideologies are very similar, and at this moment in time, they are fighting for the same cause, and they are fighting towards the same goals. However, this anti-hero persona that they're building for Harry Osborn is certainly interesting, and it's definitely going to come to a boiling point with Peter Parker. We also get a look at how Harry made his Green Goblin suit, which is from old Iron Man armor, which is also cool. We also get our first look at this universe's Otto Octavius, which is also very exciting. Either way, as the issue continues, we get less and less subtle hints that Harry is actually working for his own agenda, rather than being a quote-unquote superhero. Harry ends up interrogating Bullseye. However, this isn't any old interrogation. He is genuinely coming across as threatening here, more like an anti-hero more than anything. Harry's psyche is so on the fence, and it's really interesting to see. We end the issue with Harry referencing the beginning of the issue, saying that his father always used to talk about the difference between being a boy and a man. He then questions if he's a hero or something else. So everything that the audience has kind of been piecing together about Harry throughout this issue starts to come full circle. He puts his helmet on as he says he's about to find out, as the issue cuts there. This issue is really great because it genuinely just brings the character full circle. But not only that, I don't think I've learned and been so invested in one singular character from a Spider-Man comic book like that in so long. Once again, this book did not feature Spider-Man at all, and only had one appearance from Peter Parker himself. And that is a true testament to Jonathan Hickman and the writing team, because if you're not going to include the main character, you must have some belief in your side characters and B-plots to be able to carry a mainline issue. And to be honest, it is really paying off. Once again, make sure to subscribe to the channel to join the community and also join me on this journey to get through to Marvel Editorial. Like and share the video as well, make sure to boost it in the algorithm so more people can see this and more people can see how good Ultimate Spider-Man really is. Here you can watch my video on my crazy theory for Gwen Stacy in the Ultimate Universe. Thank you very much to the members for supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.